Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to episode 123 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I am your host, Joseph Landy Pavlon. Tonight, we have Justin Hibbert alongside me. We do apologize for not going live last night due to scheduling conflict. We had to just push it the other day. It wasn't the end of the world. I was able to just move on with that, and here we are. Well, but first, before we go ahead and continue on with what we always do, is covering motorsports and all the action that happened in the weekend. We do want to send our heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of the late Bob Jenkins, a well-respected and longtime American TV commentator and radio sports commentator, making his best mark of his successful career in motorsports. Bob Jenkins was 73 years old. He battled brain cancer for the past 8 months. To put it very lightly, Bob Jenkins was simply one of the best. And we'll continue this conversation in a little bit as Justin has some technical difficulties to combat in just a few moments. We'll bring him back on the air. But this was a huge loss in the motorsports community.
I think I got it working again. I think.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Yeah, it was just I tested my speakers, which is at first, but you don't. It's StreamYard, literally just a song testing your speakers. Hey, YouTube should have that as a song now.
Yeah. StreamYard has a new thing, but yesterday we lost a huge icon in not only motorsports, but in sports altogether, and in the world of TV personalities. Bob Jenkins was the voice of your favorite calls, your favorite memories. Dale Earnhardt's win against Bobby Labonte at Atlanta Motor Speedway 21 years ago, that comes to mind. The 1992 Hooters 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, when 6 drivers had a shot at the championship, and it came down to the underdog himself, or should I say Underbird Alan Kulwicki. Let's throw in Richard Petty and Bobby Allison, 1982 in Michigan. Just countless events in NASCAR that Bob Jenkins covered in his time with ESPN and ABC, from the early 1980s all the way up until 2000, when the first contract came to an end. How about his time with Indianapolis, working on the radio station, the IMS radio? How about that 1992 call? Al Unser Jr. held off Scott Goodyear by just a few fractions of an inch. That was something I'll always remember. It's the 1992 race, and watching the replays of an event that was so special. It was too bad I wasn't around for that. Or even as later as 2011, 2012, Ed Carpenter's win at Kentucky, or the 2012 championship finale at California Speedway. And it came down to Ryan Hunter-Reay snatching it from Will Power. But, being part of an elite class of successful play-by-play commentators, your voice is really the backbone of the broadcast. And he had some great partners, too. Like, Bob Jenkins had Larry Newber start things off. Then down the road, he worked with Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons. Then over in IndyCar, he worked with, Paul Page, Jan Beekes, Charlie Jones. Just like some of the greatest. And, I put him in a class of elite commentators like Chris Economaki, Mike Joy, who is still covering NASCAR to this day. And, of course, Kent Squire. So we will talk more about that. It will definitely be an emotional race weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, especially with NASCAR and IndyCar sharing the same Grand Prix track for the weekend as a doubleheader. Let's begin by talking about what happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
NASCAR was out for 2 weeks. They come back. And are you surprised at the winner? Me?
No.
I'm not.
No. Yeah, I knew that Kyle Larson had a shot at the win because you always know in these cup races recently, Kyle Larson always has a shot to win. Because Kyle Larson is showing his speed this season in that 5 team. Whew. He showed his speed this weekend.
And you know what? He didn't just come out from the start and tear up the field like he does in dirt. He played it cool.
Yeah.
Stayed smart. You know, Larson wasn't the best car at the beginning, as, of course, practice and qualifying was not present for the weekend.
Oh.
So like everybody else, he too had to get the car adjusted throughout the pit stops in the race.
Yep.
Larson had that covered, and once his car handled perfectly fine, the speeds rose, and he never looked back. Started fourth, led 27 laps, 11 career wins. Hard to believe only 11 career wins. I mean, that's a short number for how well he's been doing in this entire year.
But that number is gonna increase.
We'll be in the 20s before you know it.
Yeah, because he has contract for till 2023. So you do know he's gonna keep winning and winning because he's really people like, oh, Chase Elliott's the face of Hendrick, but Kyle Larson is showing his speed right now. He's the one. He's leading the point. Just saying. Other than that, Kyle Larson.
We'll talk about points later because that's a whole other discussion. But in terms of the Hendrick house,
Kyle Larson is the better one.
I thought Larson would be like maybe driver 2 or even driver 3 going into the year because he was out for most of last year.
But
now it almost reminds me that he hasn't even missed much.
Yeah.
And if anything, Larson and Elliott have helped improve the progress of the other half of Hendrick Motorsports, Alex Bowman and William Byron. Yeah. It doesn't seem like they've missed a beat either.
Yeah, Byron, I know he has 1 win, but a thing about Byron, he's still consistent enough to still stay third in points in the 24. But other than that, Alex Bowman, he has 3 victories this season. Remember, I only thought, he's maybe going to get 1 or 2 wins. He already has 3. He has 3 wins, and after one half of a season's done,
still
he has 3 victories. Yeah, Hendrick. I remember when Hendrick was in their slump in 2018. Remember their slump?
Yeah, but around around most of 2017, 18, even a bit of 19, it was like a 1 or 2 car show for the year.
Yeah,
This time around, we're seeing the new phase of dominance on a weekly basis.
Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle Larson has 5 wins, Elliott has 2, Bowman has 3, and Byron has 1. They have currently 11 wins. Do you want to know how many they had in 2017? 4. They only had 4. 3 by Jimmy Johnson. 1, remember Casey Kane's final win? Yeah, those are the only 4
Johnson and Kane would never win after that season.
Yeah, because Elliott almost won, but
he almost won. He could have been the leader of wins for that team for how well he's been.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was not doing good in that season in 2017.
We knew he was on his way out.
But that's how Hendrick's progressed.
Yeah, Elliott's been the only one from that year since then because then Byron came in and then Bowman did as well that 2018. And then Larson came in after Johnson left.
Yeah, but Hendrick is showing their speed still.
And they're not done at all. We have a long way to go with only, 3 races to spare before the end of the regular season. It's just getting started. Chase Elliott, I'm surprised he led 0 laps, but his quest to win 3 consecutive races at Watkins Glen has come to an end. Finished second, though. Good run. And I'm sure if the cautions lined up differently, he might as well have ended up winning this race.
Yeah.
Third place went to let's talk about Martin Truex Jr.
Yep.
Another great driver at these road courses, and if anything, Martin Truex Jr. had definitely reminded me that he's not a driver to look away from. And MTJ at Watkins Glen is an interesting dynamic between driver and track, because he won stage 2. He led 34 laps, started 9th, but it tells me that he's still a very consistent driver, and we would be wrong to not keep an extra eye out for him, especially come time for the playoffs. He seems to really shine then.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that he could be a championship 4 contender. And as for Joe Gibbs Racing, they're not at all going down. They're just being beat by some better teams. We'll have to see what happens with them going into the playoffs. I think they're almost set. 3rd, 4th, and 5th all teammates. Kyle Busch started 20th. A great drive up to 4th from mid-pack. And Denny Hamlin will no longer be the championship leader. While being tied, the lead does go to Larson for more wins. Hamlin led 6 laps, started 6th, finished 1 spot better in 5th. He never missed a beat in this race. Stayed in the hunt all day long, and a top 5 is something to be proud of, but you can see how close it is now. And Larson has finally reeled in the fish rod and has caught Denny Hamlin. And we'll hope that Hamlin doesn't run back away with it.
Oh.
We got 3 more races to see how that turns out. William Byron started 15th. He finished 6th. How about Byron's run to the front? Christopher Bell started and finished 7th. We will talk about the contact between Bell and Larson a little bit, but a top 10 is great nonetheless. He's definitely proven the road courses have been his niche. Even for a dirt track driver. We talked about dirt track drivers. One of them just won, and another just finished 7th. So there you have it. Kevin Harvick and Chase Briscoe, the Stewart Haas Racing teammates, 8th and 9th. And Tyler Reddick rounded out the top 10. He's still looking for a miracle and might just have to need one at this point.
Yeah, but I think I want to say Briscoe got a good finish for him, another solid run. Like, I know that he didn't start off good, but he was still learning the Cup car. Remember, like, these Cup cars are different than his Xfinity ride, but
he doesn't have the necessities that every driver needs, which is practice sessions. He's doing great for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Kurt Busch led 2 laps, started 17th, finished 13th. Mid-pack run for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 19th place after leading 1 lap and starting 18th. Joey Logano had a great start to a race that he started 2nd, won stage 1, led 11 laps, but car 22 placed 22. Yeah. Kyle Tilley, 30th place, a top 30 is his career best finish. He started 33rd. RC Anderson, single-seater veteran, started 37th and finished 34th in his debut. And Brad Keselowski,
oh my gosh,
poor end of the race for him. He had a problem after leading 9 laps, starting first. He'll have to settle for a 35th place finish.
Yeah, he spun a few times. It was not a good day for Brad Keselowski.
Right, sustained damage that was never recoverable.
Yeah, he started on pole. Like, when you start pole, you're like, oh, I'm probably going to do good. But finishing 35th?
Well, it's the difference between starting first and starting on pole. When you start first and being put there, you don't even know what your car is like. When you're on pole position, you have confidence, you know how to drive the track. And maybe it just caught up to him. So we go on to the next race, the Indianapolis Grand Prix 200, the Verizon 200 at Indy. We have the inaugural running of this race.
Yeah.
Around 24 of 36, which means there are 3 races left in this regular season.
Yeah, and we don't know how that's going to be. We know there's a practice and qualifying. Other than that, it's going to be unknown because the Cup cars have never run here. Xfinity has 1 race here. Cup, 0 races here. They're used to do the Brickyard circuit. This time they don't.
I'm sure a lot of drivers wish they didn't change the track. We'll find out which ones those drivers will be, especially after Sunday.
Yeah, because practice is Saturday. Cup qualifying Sunday morning, but race is Sunday afternoon. So basically, you want to get enough practice time. You got 60 minutes. You got 55 minutes of practice. Then you got those rounds of qualifying because it's a road course. And then you got the race, which an 82-lap race to figure out.
All right, let's talk about the championship now. So for the first time since round 2. Yes, round 2, 21 races ago. Denny Hamlin is no longer classified as the championship leader. It's actually Kyle Larson. They both have 917 points.
But
it's Larson who gets the nod because he has more wins than Hamlin. Hamlin has still 0 wins. I don't know how he's doing this with 0 wins, but that's just incredible.
But other than that, also another reason, Larson got a better finish in the race and also average finish. Larson has a more consistent.
So if they matched at the same number of wins, they would go to average finish to break the tie.
Yeah, which is actually Larson has the better average finish. He's more consistent in some races.
I think that's how they determined the European Le Mans Series champion last year because they both share a number of wins and they had to do like 3 rollbacks, or not rollbacks, countbacks to determine that. It was incredible.
But it's close. But third place,
a tie within a tie. Some ties are larger than others.
But third place is the person that shocks me. William Byron is still in third with 1 win. William Byron is still in third. It's like he's so consistent.
He can drive a car flawlessly through the season, and that's one thing about William Byron. You know, I always look at the road courses as a way that Byron can. I'm so surprised he hasn't even won on a road course yet. He's just a great driver.
Remember William Byron at Dakota? He broke that streak of all top 10s since other than the Daytona crash or Daytona. Remember he had consistency. Remember he had a streak of top 10s in a row and
26th, 33rd, and then top 10s all the way till Circuit of the Americas, where he barely missed out and finished 11th.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Byron had a stretch of top 10s going. Like, he's consistent. Like,
very consistent, and I think he could be the quiet horse in the fight. Yeah. Kyle Busch sits in 4th. I think he's been pretty quiet too this year. I mean, we haven't really seen much electrifying moments from Kyle Busch this year.
Yes, he has 2 wins. Yes, I know he
Kansas and what was the other track?
Oh, Pocono race.
Pocono, yes, race 2 at Pocono. Yeah. That was an incredible drive. Thinking about it now, a driver like Kyle Busch can handle the pressure and succeed. And maybe the veteran experience will kick in. We'll see. We have a long way to go. Joey Logano in 5th. He did suffer a little bit, but those stage points definitely helped keep him in the loop.
Yeah. He still only has 1 win since the Bristol Dirt Race. That's his only win.
But it's more than wins. It's proud performance. And Chase Elliott could definitely agree on that. He's probably won more than the drivers in front of him, except for Larson. But at the same time, Chase Elliott, 749 points. 6th place, he's doing well. He seems to be between 1st and 10th for most of the time, and he sits right there in the center. Martin Truex Jr. I'm surprised that all these drivers are where they are. I mean, 7th place, he's doing very good. 8th place, Brian Blaney, 712 points. Kevin Harvick, 710 points, and Brad Keselowski, 678 points. So for all you guys who were saying, what if we have more than 16 winners? Well, guess what? By Larson winning at Watkins Glen, we can finally put that to sleep. It's not going to happen.
Nope. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But Hamlin will lock into the playoffs if we get another repeat winner at any of the next 3 races.
What? A person that shocks me with no wins is still, other than Hamlin, Kevin Harvick is still 9. Yeah. He has no wins. He's P9. It's like, It's like
he's arguably the best storehouse car out there. He's driving a good season, but Michigan's a great track. We'll talk about that in 2 races time.
But another person that's in the points, if you look in the points, do you know what's interesting about the second highest Stewart-Haas driver? It's Chase Briscoe, 22nd in points. Then you go down the 24th, Eric Almirola. Cole Custer's 28th. And so far, it looks like it's going to be Briscoe getting the Rookie of the Year. Briscoe's 22nd in points. Anthony Alfredo's the second rookie, is 30th in points. So it's most likely going to be Briscoe getting that. But Briscoe's still 22nd. I know it's not good, like the old rookie class, back then.
Last year we had an incredible rookie class. This year is no 2 rookie classes will ever be the same.
But still, he's ahead of 2 of his experienced teammates in points. Almirola, but he's going to be in the playoffs. You obviously know that. But Cole Custer, who is in his 2nd season, but I think Custer's in a sophomore slump because He's 28th in the standings, just there, 28th. Which
I honestly think Storehouse Racing altogether, they're kind of in recycle mode, trying to get things right. And maybe Almirola's win was a huge confidence booster that was needed. And maybe Harvick can follow through on that. We'll see what happens. We will hold off on that playoffs discussion because, well, we're still far from over. 3 races left. Like I said, these final 4 races, this 4-race stretch to the playoffs, include 2 road courses and 2 super speedways. And they're all different tracks within each of one of them. You can't really learn from one road course and translate to the other. Watkins Glen's a fast track. It's a short version of the road course, which means you're even faster. A lot of speeds braking. Indy road course is more technical. It's flatter. It's a little bit slower. There's only really one fast part of the track, which is the front stretch. That's about it. But Michigan International Speedway is a different kind of super speedway than Daytona International Speedway is. More dependency on drag, aerodynamics, and tire wear than Daytona International Speedway is, positioning and placement.
And also at Daytona, you have more chance to get in a bigger accident than Michigan.
And more chance to win the race. We'll see what happens. Long way to go. 3 races.
Yeah.
The road course part of this tour will come to an end, and then the super speedway leg of the tour will begin in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, so the people that hate the older people that hate road courses are going to be happy.
Right, and we know the Daytona 400 is always a chaotic race, no matter when it's held.
And of all times to have it, the final race before the playoffs.
We saw last year was survival of the fittest, or the luckiest.
Well, hopefully there's no weather. Last year we had no weather, but hopefully there's no weather this year.
And no major storm with a name. Yeah, go away, Fred. Go find Elsa. She's in another castle.
Well, but other than Michigan is probably going to be normal. I don't know. But the Daytona not Daytona road course, the Indy GP circuit. That's going to be interesting.
We don't know what that's going to look like, but let's talk about the other series. Watkins Glen was very busy.
Yeah,
we had 4 major stock car races there. Let's talk about the Xfinity series before we move on. So, what can I say about this kid? Every time he straps into the NASCAR Xfinity Series car, he finds a way to shock the world every single time. And now I think it's just comes to the point where we have to understand it's a fixture that Ty Gibbs is a successful driver, and he might as well just be. I mean, I don't know where this is going. I don't know how Joe Gibbs is going to handle this. The last time I've seen a driver this talented in the program of Joe Gibbs Racing, I think 2 cases. No, I'm not going to say Christopher Bell. While he's greatly talented, he wasn't at this level.
Yeah, to get 3 wins and 10 starts.
I'm talking about Eric Jones and Joey Logano.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Eric Jones didn't really pan out, and he's just kind of in a different team. But Joey Logano, I remember when Joey Logano was the biggest thing since how Mark Martin gave him that nickname. When Joey Logano turned 18, he was given the approval to race in the top 3 NASCAR series. He raced in the Xfinity series back then. It was called Nationwide.
Yep.
And top 10, pole at Nashville Super Speedway, the race later, and then in his 3rd start, a dominating first career win at Kentucky Speedway. Yeah. And remember the nature of the series back then?
Yeah.
It wasn't just, we're not trying to say that the Xfinity series is still not competitive. Yeah, it definitely is. But I'm talking about back then when Cup Series drivers were a factor in the lower series championship. Yeah. Consider that. And all of a sudden he hops in a Joe Gibbs racing car and wins off the bat.
Yep.
His talent, it was so amazing. And he won the E Series championship in 2007. Prior to that.
Well, I know. I actually do know about his E Series title because I do know who he beat in that season, Sean Case, who is a NASCAR bus now. But
a great short track driver. But let's talk about Logano.
Logano.
Logano was incredibly talented, and there was a time when in the 2008 season when we learned that Tony Stewart was going to be a co-owner of the team that Gene Haas owned.
Yeah.
For the 2009 season, he would leave Joe Gibbs Racing, the team that he brought 2 championships home with.
Yep.
And the spot would be open for the 20 Home Depot car that Tony Stewart left a legacy in. Guess what? They went with Joey Logano.
Yep.
I mean, people said that other drivers could have taken the ride, like one-off season for Jeremy Mayfield or a season for Elliott Sadler or whatnot. Because you remember all those teams kept merging from 08, 09 in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much into that, but point I'm trying to make is Logano ended up in the Cup Series while he was 18, turning 19.
Yeah.
While it was almost bad looking on Logano's part, the culture of the lower series, the Xfinity series back then, was you could race as many times as you want, even compete for a championship if you chose. He never did as a Gibbs driver, but every time he showed up, he was a contender to win and won many races. That kind of saved Logano's career in a way. He was signed by Penske, and by 2013, he got his 3rd Cup Series win and won many more. He's Daytona 500 and a champion win. So
it's like Logano. Yeah, he did struggle Cup Series at JGR, but in the Xfinity Series, he was not struggling for JGR. He was a contender.
Where are we going with this? The point I'm trying to make is how quick they were to put Logano in the Cup Series. Would it be wrong to see Ty Gibbs race not in the Cup Series at this rate?
But I don't know.
Are we jumping the gun just as much as everyone else is?
I don't know, but like Ty Gibbs is showing his speed. 3rd Series still.
3rd Series win. This is
10
his 10th start.
Yeah.
His 3rd win. The leader of the team has competed for a championship and almost won a title and still has 0 wins. Daniel Hemrick. Just put that in a perspective. Yeah. But to be all honest, Daniel Hemrick could have had like 10 wins at this point. Ty Gibbs drives like a veteran. They say age is just a number. Well, people say that, you're definitely right. For those you guys who keep saying age is just a number, please pat yourselves on the back over Ty Gibbs. Because 18 years old, you got so many years left. We see drivers racing past their 40s successfully in NASCAR or in motorsports in general. This isn't a case of a possible, not just a NASCAR driver, but the way he drives a car. He can end up in the single seaters. He could go anywhere. This kid is incredible.
Don't know what I calculated. I calculated Ty Gibbs' win percentage. Don't know how much it is in the Xfinity Series. With 10 starts, so you do 3 divided 10 times 100. His win percentage is 30%.
That's 1/3 of the races.
Yeah, that he hops. Yeah, because his worst, he has 8 top 10s. He finished 18th at Darlington and 33rd at Road America. Those are his non-top 10 finishes. 8 top 10s and 10 starts. That is so impressive. And in top 5s, he has 8 top 5s and 8 top 10s.
Unbelievable.
So all his top 10s are top 5s, too. He has 8 top 5s, 8 top 10s. His worst finish, remember Road America when he had his issue?
He had a retirement. That was the only thing that took him out. Yeah,
and he finished 18th at Darlington, it was his first start there. But
even that's decent. Anybody would be proud of an 18th at Darlington, even in our equipment.
Yeah, and he has 8 top 10s in 10 starts and 3 wins. That is so impressive.
I mean, is this the Chaos Emerald that Sonic found that will keep the world in good hands for the future? It might just be in the language of NASCAR racing, or I think in all of motorsport. You know, I understand we can't tell how good a driver could be in any other form of motorsport just off the premise of one discipline of racing. But we got to remember where almost every other form of motorsport has been heading to in modern day 2021. These are 4-speed H pattern manual transmission heavy bodied stock cars that are not meant to race on road courses. More or less, they're meant to race on ovals, with a few exception of road course races. essentially the point of why there's so many road course ringers that run on the road course events, especially in the earlier days, is because the Cup cars are hard to drive around road courses, and it's hard for the Cup Series drivers or hard for any NASCAR driver to understand to drive a car that's meant to race on ovals on road courses. I get the package and all, but that's why Dan Gurney owned Riverside. That's why Ron Fellows owned the Xfinity and Truck Series at Watkins Glen, and eventually Marcus Ambrose did the same. That's why there have never been a repeat winner at Road America and Montreal in the series for Xfinity.
I actually just calculated I was so curious. I wanted to know Ty Gibbs' win percentage in ARCA. That's impressive. 39.46. It's Ty Gibbs' win percentage in ARCA. Yeah. So, yeah, Nick May's doing good in ARCA. Yeah, Ty Gibbs is showing his talents. So, yeah.
If anything, we have a star in the future. The future is bright with Ty Gibbs. He is giving me confidence that we have a bright next 10 years down the road, 10, 20 years down the road in the sport. Yeah. Let's talk about the race now. Now that we all marveled over Ty Gibbs and how great of a driver he is and how he will be one of the best of possibly all time at this rate, let's talk about the actual race. He led 43 laps, started 15th, took the win, but it wasn't easy. He had to beat some of the best on road courses in the series. AJ Allmendinger, for example, one of the best in stock cars on road courses. His only Cup Series win was at this track 7 years ago. AJ won Stage 2. He led 6 laps, started 6th, ran a top 5 race all day long. I'm sure the cautions came out differently. He might have been the one in victory lane. Same could be said about third place driver Austin Cindric, who won the last race here. It was his first career win. Car 22 led 22 laps, won Stage 1, started second, and rounded out the podium. Great finish for Austin Cindric, to say the least. Justin Allgaier was placed first on the grid. He finished 4th. Another good road course driver. And Harrison Burton, he really picked up the pace on these tracks, turning left and right. After leading 3 laps and starting 4th, he rounded out the top 5. A great finish for Joe Gibbs Racing, too, as 6th place went to Brandon Jones, who led 1 lap, started mid-pack, but brought it home into the top 10. Noah Gragson had a fulfilling 7th place finish, as did Jeb Burton, 8th place. Justin Haley and Sam Mayer rounded out the top 10. Yep. Some of the other drivers we'll note in this race include Chris Wright, sports car driver, picked up a career best finish of 17th. 22nd place, unfortunately, Daniel Hemrick's summertime sadness continued when he led 7 laps, started 3rd, but was involved in an incident that set him 22nd at the checkered flag. Road course ringer Dave Smith made his debut after starting 38th, driving for the Jimmy Means Chevrolet. 35th went to Michael Munley, who made his debut as well. Retired with a suspension failure despite recovering from an early race shunt. And last but not least, sports car championship driver Kyle Tilley from the UK, who has been a sort of fixture in the Cup Series, made his debut for the BJ McLeod team in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
He finished dead last with the retirement on lap 20.
Yeah. And also
a pretty good race. I mean, almost everybody that finished the race were on the lead lap of 82 laps.
I also want to know that, to let people know that Michael Annett did make his return after his surgery and missing 2 races. Just to let people know that he did make his return, and he is going to be eligible in the playoffs, because it's not like he missed the race because of a no ride like Enfinger, but this reason was because an injury, like that's respectable, because he missed 2
even
races.
then, he hasn't missed much in the points. We'll talk about points. That's my next section. I know, man. 30 plus minutes on the top 2 series. Let's get into the standings here, as the second ever Indy GP 150 will be next weekend for the next race. This is the one series that doesn't have to worry about the playoffs as much as the other two do, because they're the furthest from it. And the cut line is very seamless and less stress-free amongst the top three series. Austin Cindric has a controlling lead, 849 points for the defending champion. AJ Allmendinger is second with 769 points. Daniel Hemrick sits in third with 708 points, but he might be challenged for that spot in the standings going into the next race, as Justin Allgaier's fourth place finish helped him catch up with 693 points. Fifth place went to Harrison Burton, or is currently Harrison Burton sits in fifth with 654 points. His cousin Jeb Burton is sixth with 624 points. Justin Haley seventh with 610 points. Noah Gragson is in eighth with 584 points. Brandon Jones is ninth with 523 points. And Jeremy Clements runs out the top 10 with 489 points. Now, remember, it's the top 12 that get into the playoffs. So keep that in mind. We have, 6 races remaining till then.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the real game-changing race of the race weekend. And that was, of course, at Watkins Glen for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. The regular season closing race at Watkins Glen. In fact, for the first time in 21 years, the series made a return to Watkins Glen International, and it was a long-awaited return. A popular track has been omitted from the series for quite some time, and it's great to see that it's back, and we got to have a race, fairly competitive one. And honestly, I'm excited to see what these next 7 races hold in terms of the championship battle that's at stake. And it's going to go by quick, just like the races do in the Truck Series.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much to have a good season, but also doesn't take much to have a season gone bad. And a lot of drivers can agree after that. It wasn't easy at all to get into the playoffs.
No, it was not.
Yeah, so Austin Hill, remember how he mastered the dirt track at Knoxville, Iowa? Guess what? He mastered the road course at Watkins Glen, leading 35 laps, winning stage 2 and picking up his 8th career win. He started on the front row in pole position.
But also I wanted to say the race was shortened to 61 laps from 72 due to not lightning. That was lightning. But it still was a good race. But also some NASCAR fans said it was a rig. Do you want to know why?
Why?
The race was called the United Rentals 176, and Austin Hill had United Rentals sponsorship on his truck. He Straw Boy won the race in the
second lost.
Yeah, the United Rentals Toyota, and he won the United Rentals 176. So yeah, it was an interesting event for Austin Hill.
We have a lot to pick out from this race. Let's make this seamless. Austin Hill, great run. I think for the third year in a row that he's been with this team, he's got another chance to win a championship with them, and it's going to be very strong. Look out for the 16 Toyota. And that team, of course, is looking for championship number 2. Second place went to John Hunter Nemechek. The regular season champion led 2 laps, started 6th, finished second. A very favorite. I'm sure he could have won this race if it went to the full distance. Sheldon Creed came to life. He started mid-pack, 19th place, but the defending champion did what he does best and brought it up into the 3rd place spot.
Yeah.
Todd Gilliland won stage 1, led 18 laps, started 2nd, finished 4th. Parker Kligerman started 38th in the back, but he finished 5th in this race. Zane Smith led 4 laps, started 8th, finished 6th. Tyler Ankrum started 10th, finished 7th. Unfortunately, Tyler Ankrum, unlike last year, will not be part of this championship. We'll leave all that discussion for later. How about Paul Menard? Another career best finish of 8th. He started in the final row, 39th place.
Yep.
Sam Mayer started dead last and finished 9th.
Yep.
And Carson led 1 lap, started 9th, finished 10th, and he will be part of this championship chase.
Yeah.
Corey Heim finished 18th. How about that? A career best finish for the young driver.
Yep.
Jack Wood led 1 lap, started 27th, finished 2 spots better, and 25th. AJ Allmendinger started 25th, finished 27th. And this was his first start since Fontana of 2008. His career best finish is second from Charlotte 2007.
Yeah, there was a reason, if people didn't know, Chase Purdy did test positive for COVID-19, so he had to sit out. But Chase Purdy will be back at the race at Gateway. That's why they put AJ, which...
Did they clear that? Did they clear?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But
All right.
AJ, good. Putting him in the truck was a good idea. Road course experience, so good for AJ to get that start.
Yeah, and here's another interesting case. Actually, two drivers that are known better from their siblings include Chad Chastain, the younger brother of Ross Chastain, made his series debut starting 34th. He finished 31st. He finished in 34th place. One spot behind him, the younger brother of Taylor Gray, who's they're also teammates in the series. Taylor Gray made his debut, started 32nd, finished 35th. And another driver who made his debut was Will Rogers from Hawaii, Maui, Hawaii.
Yep.
29th and was the retirement at 39th place. To answer that, why not 40th? Well, it was actually Chandler Smith who got disqualified. His truck did not pass, but he's still in the championship hunt. That's not going to affect anything.
But you know it was plus like 19 when Chandler Smith actually finished in 18. Plus 1. He made it by 1 with the.
If Derek Krause didn't have any incidents at all, he would have made it.
But Derek Krause, but the nearest person to make it after Krause's issue was Ankrum. Ankrum was the one at 11th.
Both drivers had a very slow start to their seasons, and it did cost them.
Johnny Sauter, I don't know. Johnny Sauter has not been that good this season.
He hasn't been good since they stopped the practice sessions.
But Johnny Sauter, even before that, he was kind of struggling at the beginning of 2020. So Johnny Sauter is kind of in a slump. End of 2019, didn't do too well either. We're
still looking to see some of the research. He can keep up with the pack. That's the thing. It's just at least with these drivers, they don't have to worry about championship for the most part, unless their teammates in question. Then usually they'll kind of help out with that. Next race will be the Gateway 200 on August 20th. Round 16 of 22. The playoffs will be for round of 10. It's race 1 of 3. I want to talk about seeding now. So what will the seeding look like going into the NASCAR Truck Series playoffs? Well, to answer that, here's how this is going to work. So we have 10 drivers and 7 races. Like the Cup Series, we have 3 rounds where a playoff eligible driver, if they win in those 3 races, gets immediately put into a spot for the next round. The rest is settled with points. After the first 3 races, which will be held at Gateway, Darlington, and Bristol, drivers seeded 9th and 10th will be removed from championship eligibility.
And
leaving 8 drivers left.
For the round of 8, which will be the round of 8 comprised of 3 different tracks: Las Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville. 3 different types of racetracks. After Martinsville, 4 are booted out for the Championship 4 finale at Phoenix. It's 10 drivers down to 8, then to 4 for the championship.
And the highest of the Championship 4 drivers for that final race at Phoenix will be the champion for the 2021 season. And let's talk about the drivers. We're not going to go on too much about it. John Hunter Nemechek. I don't think anybody should be surprised at all. I knew right away when he was entered for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the series, he was a big time threat for this championship, and everyone should be looking out for him. And that's the case. 2,049 points, 49 bonus points. So everyone starts at 2,000 plus the bonus points they receive through the season.
But remember, it would have been 2034 if he didn't get the regular season championship, which is 15 extra playoff points. That's how he's at 2049, which is still a good amount of bonus points for John Hunter Nemechek. Then
Absolutely.
you go down. Then it's Austin Hill is second on the list.
2,021 points. That's 21 bonus points. So 2,000 plus the bonus points you receive.
So yeah,
that's where you sit in the seating. Ben Rhodes.
Yep, he had
2019 points, 19 bonus points. Sheldon or Tyler Gilliland, 2015 points plus 15. That puts him in fourth. Sheldon Creed, the reigning champion, is halfway through the
P5.
P5. The 2011 points, 11 bonus points. Zane Smith is sixth. 2009 points, 9 bonus points. Matt Crafton looking to become the second driver in series history to win 4 championships, joining Ron Hornaday in that category. He has a shot to do it this year. Matt Crafton, 2004 points, 4 bonus points. Carson Hosfar, first driver since Ross Chastain to compete for a championship in the playoffs. 2002 points plus 2 bonus points. Stuart Friesen, finally in a championship possibilities since 2019 in his great run he had that year. 2001 bonus points with 1 extra bonus point, and Chandler Smith, 2001 points with 1 bonus point, and there's your 10 drivers. Now, who missed out? Aside from Grant Enfinger due to eligibility reasons, we had Tyler Ankrum.
He was the first man out with the point. So, yeah, Tyler Ankrum for GMS Racing, which, if he would have made it, it would have been 3 GMS drivers. All the full-time except Chase Purdy, which that was obvious, but, yeah, he was close. Second man on the list, Derek Kraus for McAnally. He missed the playoffs last year. He did not make it this year again.
What went wrong for both drivers? I think the common ground was terrible slow start. If you look at Tyler Ankrum, his only top 10 from the Daytona 250 to Darlington was a 3rd place finish at Richmond.
Yeah, that's inconsistency. And Kraus had inconsistency also.
Very.
Like, you always have, like, those things, like, that's why they didn't make it, because they were inconsistent at the start, which you don't want to be inconsistent.
But Kraus started, when he had those 2 pole positions, it seemed to go his way again. Tyler Ankrum got his first career pole at Circuit of the Americas. It just, the thing is with the Truck Series, the races go by fast, but also the season flies by quickly. You have to be on your game in this level, or you're not going to be the one in the championship. Let's go down the list. Johnny Sauter, veteran former champion, just couldn't seem to get it right. His highlight of the year was a pole in the Daytona 250. But that didn't go too well, and he tried his best. He had some good results at some of his best tracks, like Atlanta and Richmond.
But
Knoxville was a dud, but
well, he's not good on dirt. He's never been good on dirt.
He had a little good stretch going on from Atlanta, other than Bristol, all the way to Darlington, but it just went downhill from there. No top 10 since Darlington for Johnny Sauter.
Wow. That is just wow. I thought, like, you don't expect a former champion to go since Darlington with no top 10s.
Yeah, let's continue. Let's continue down the order. Austin himself, a great run for the driver who brought his family team to a much better level. And Austin Wayne Self should pat himself on the back for getting those 2 top 10s at Bristol and Darlington. Placing 15th. That's not a bad run.
Yeah, it's his family team. Like, people do forget. Austin Wayne Self drove for decent ARCA teams. He drove for Cunningham in 2014, and he drove for Mason Mitchell Motorsports in 2015 in ARCA and did decent. He's racing his family team, getting those results for his family team. That's impressive.
We're going to talk about some drivers that did not fulfill the expectations. We're going to talk about Ryan Truex for a moment. I thought he was going to be a good fixture in this championship when he finished 4th in the Daytona 250, but he has not found the top 10 since. In fact, his best finish after that race was an 11th place finish at Darlington. Wow. And that's why he's going to be only competing for wins, as will the 2 David Gilliland Racing Fords, Haley Deegan and Tanner Gray, behind him in the championship. Honestly, I feel like Haley Deegan, being a rookie and, just jumping into the series, I still think she jumped into it too soon. She is pretty much doing what she could. I thought there were some good top 10 runs possibly, but they just haven't transpired. As for Tanner Gray, 1 top 10, a 9th at Texas. And this is his 2nd season, and I know on Tanner's part, I mean, much like Haley Deegan, she's come from off-road racing. Tanner Gray has come from drag racing.
Yeah.
And, I think that, if they want to be successful, and especially since Ford is signing them as as factory drivers, they may need to do some things differently.
But
in the long scale of things, we'll have to see.
Like David Gillen Racing, I know people are like, oh, the equipment's not good, but Todd Gillen runs the same equipment in the
They're on a satellite team from Motorsports.
But do you want to know what also a thing about, there's, crew chief pairings, Haley Deegan's had the same crew chief all season, Mike Hillman Jr. Tanner Gray has had 4 crew chiefs so far. He started with Shane Wilson, Seth Smith, Jacob Hampton, Marcus Richmond, and there might be another crew chief too. He's had 4 crew chiefs.
Chemistry counts.
Yeah, he's had 4 crew chiefs already.
And that's why both drivers are 17th and 18th in the championship.
Yeah.
Chase Purdy. Let's talk about Chase Purdy. While we are glad that he is cleared to race again after his positive COVID test, his best finish all year long were 2 15th place finishes at Nashville Super Speedway and Pocono.
Oh, God.
He's driving in championship level equipment that had seen them compete amongst themselves for the title. This sounds a lot like a few Formula 3 teams, doesn't it?
Well, his only top 10 in his career was last year, race 2 at Kansas. Remember they ran 3 Kansas races? Remember that double-header Kansas race in July?
Yes, I do.
His best finish was 10th in race 2, driving the 24 truck. He's not consistent. Like his first top 20 finish of the season was race 5, 18th at the Bristol Dirt. Then he got more inconsistent from Richmond to Charlotte. Then he ran 3 top 20 finishes and then 33rd at Knoxville.
Sometimes it's better to be slow and steady. They say slow and steady wins the race. But guess what? You have to make it to the end.
Yeah.
To do well. And that has been a struggle for Chase Purdy. But then again, where you got 10 drivers going for a championship, and it all starts in Gateway next weekend. All right. Time to talk about one more race at Watkins Glen, the ARCA Menard Series. Let's make this quick because we have a lot more racing to talk about. And that, of course, was the Watkins Glen 100. In fact, just like the Truck Series, we had to wait 2 decades for another race at the Glen in this series. After John Finger's 2001 win at Watkins Glen, we had to wait 20 years for another race at the Glen. And boy, this one did not disappoint at all. Talk about competition. This was probably the most competitive ARCA race we've had since, I'd say, Talladega. Or what was the race last week? Winchester?
It was Winchester before Watkins Glen.
Yeah, that was a pretty competitive one too. But in terms of car count and competition all around, this was a very competitive race. Corey Heim led 18 laps after starting second to score the win. He beat Austin Hill and Ty Gibbs, the two of the 4 winners from the stock car races this weekend. And on the top step of the podium was Corey Heim. Good for him. Austin Hill and the Shiggy Hattori Toyota Camry started 3rd, finished 2nd. Ty Gibbs, who everyone thought was going to be the easy favorite. Well, guess what? Corey Heim's going to get in your way of a championship in ARCA. I don't care how good you are. That's what we've learned in this season. Gibbs led 14 laps. Carson Hosfar in the Scott's GM Parts Now Cody Ifa owned Chevrolet finished 4th. And Brandon Jones rounded out the top 5. Another thing to note, Chase Briscoe, who was looking to win another race on a road course in the ARCA levels, his hopes ended on lap 25 with a suspension failure when his car led 9 laps beforehand and had a good race going on, but it just wasn't meant to be. Now, what does the championship look like? This was round 13 of this 20-race championship, right?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the championship. It is so close. 2 points. 672 points for Ty Gibbs, and Corey Heim just 2 spots back. 670 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so close. We'll talk about them in a minute. Third, fourth, and fifth, it's far-fetched. Tad Moffitt, 575 points. Nick Sanchez, 552 points. Brad Smith, 354 points. But back to Gibbs and Heim. These two are the face of Toyota. And how many times have I said that Toyota drivers are the largest in terms of the developmental level? Yeah. Toyota has more developmental drivers for less Cup Series spots under factory teams than the other 2 manufacturers.
Yeah.
Chevrolet and Ford. In fact, I think Ford has the least amount of developmental drivers as we speak.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the Gray brothers, Haley Deegan, Austin Cindric, and I'd say Riley Herbst and some other drivers. But as for Toyota, I don't know. I mean, I think even, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan should be taking notes, because everyone's like, oh, what about the second 2311 car? That's going to come out in a year or two. What about Kurt Busch? Well, he didn't make me Kurt Busch. I don't know if next year's going to be a farewell tour or 2 years from now. Who knows? But in a few years down the road, these factory Toyota teams better get their sets ready for a driver like Corey Heim or something like that. Or maybe just he'll have to find another manufacturer. We've seen drivers be so good, but they don't have spots. So
Harrison Burns.
Harrison Burns is a great example of that.
Yeah, he moved from Toyota. He's not Joe Gibbs. He's been signed by the Wood Brothers, which is a Ford team, for next year, which one reason Menards is scaling their sponsorship by a lot. So the Wood Brothers need some extra sponsors, which I know that people are like, oh, Harrison's a paid driver. Harrison has talent.
He is so talented, just like his father was.
Yeah, like his father, Jeff. That's why, But yeah, Corey Heim, Ty Gibbs, they're the face of ARCA right now. It's just been those two battling each and every race is between those two. And they're putting on a good show. A lot of people liking this battle between Heim and Gibbs. And people like, oh, ARCA's boring and we need playoffs in ARCA. There's no playoffs and it's 2 points. You don't need playoffs to put the points interesting. Like ARCA, you could just have regular races with regular amount of points till the end of the season, and it's still interesting.
And you know what? It has been so competitive with the Toyotas, and let's look at some of the other drivers. Outside of Hyman, of course, Ty Gibbs, who might need to switch around their manufacturer contracts. We saw quickly last year, David Gilliland said, hey, are we just going to try with Ford? Give Ford a chance. And now they're finally starting to get up to speed with that. I don't know if they're there yet, but maybe with the Gray brothers, something can transpire, or Haley Deegan. That left some spots open. Unless your name is Derek Kraus, you shouldn't feel safe under the Toyota factory contract, or Austin Hill. Those 2 drivers might be fine because they're, different teams that are not with the Joe Gibbs banner. But if you're kind of heading towards that Joe Gibbs banner, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for you to succeed in there. Eric Jones is a great example of a spectacular driver who had to switch out, who was on the outside of the chairs in the musical chairs battle.
Yeah.
And for a hot shoe of Christopher Bell. And it's a shame that Levine Family Racing could not have the resources to stay in the Cup Series this year. Had they stuck around, maybe would have had another outlet for a factory Toyota team.
Yeah.
But 2311 Racing has shown a lot of interest, and rumors have been there for the longest of time about them making a second entry.
But we'll have to see, because we're right now August 10th. And we're not at the end of the season. No, that's it.
Has JMS Racing announced their manufacturer plans for the Cup Series next year?
No, they just announced the team and nothing else.
They don't know how many races
I
they're
don't
running.
think there would be any
Nope.
reason why they should switch from Chevrolet. Actually, looking at their lower series programs, that would unless they want to become the new Bill Davis Racing. I don't know.
Oh, jeez, Bill Davis. Well, Bill Davis Racing Red.
Remember, they got sued by Dodge. They lost the rights to using their banners.
But
And they run the Dodge without the Dodge logos.
Well, do you want to know what's funny about that? Is sometimes they were running Pontiac and Chevrolets in the Busch series at the same time running
while running a factory-supported Dodge to the Daytona 500 win.
That doesn't make sense.
The point we're trying to make is like, if you want to be logistically, plausible, I always thought like, hey, if there's no opportunity for Ford or for a team to go from Chevrolet or Ford to Toyota, it could be either a lot of people say Richard Petty Motorsports or I've always said, hey, colleague racing, but I think they might be good with Chevrolet for the future.
Yeah, they have RCR. They have an RCR alliance, which is really showing.
I said that about last year or 2 years ago, before Cup Series full-time racing was even on the table. So my opinions change and circumstances change.
But it's gonna Toyota. It's kind of hard to be in that Joe Gibbs program.
Unless your name is Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin, even if you're Martin Truex Jr., we don't know what next 2 years from now is going to look like.
But you do know I feel like
we know now with Ty Gibbs that time is going to rush by.
Like we know that in the Gibbs lineup, Hamlin and Truex are retiring before Kyle Busch, because if you don't, it's their age. Kyle Busch is born in '85. Hamlin and Truex are born in '80. They're 40.
They both outweigh the two. Kyle actually he outweighs both Hamlin and Truex Jr. in terms of years of racing on the top levels. So let's put that in perspective.
Yeah. So we know those three are going to retire at one point. No, they're not going to be racing at. They're not going to be racing at 9 years old. I don't think that they're going to be racing that long. But
we don't know.
But they're going to be we know they'll be retiring at one point, and other drivers will come up.
I really don't know how to put this in perspective, because it's just so many ways you can look at it throughout the years and throughout. We can always learn from history, but sometimes we rely too much on history. Looking at it now, we know Ty Gibbs is incredible. He's got a huge future ahead, and my best bet is that he'll be racing in the Xfinity series next year for Joe Gibbs Racing for a championship.
Yeah,
and at this point, he has to.
Yeah.
How can't he?
Yeah.
I expect some part-time Cup Series starts in a way, if it can even work. Maybe that's when Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin come into play. Maybe that's when the God brothers come into play.
Maybe.
Only time will tell.
How about Cale Conley goes back to RCR? No,
you're insane.
Well, what's that? What? Maybe Cale Conley will drive that GMS car. What? He totally
you or something else.
Or Tanner Berryhill. Would you want
like a racing?
Well, people are talking about Haley Deegan going to Stuart Haas, replacing Riley Herbst in the 98.
But we'll just get Riley Herbst.
I just really like Haley Deegan. I feel like she needs another
Stop
season.
Jumping the gun.
She jumped to the trucks.
I mean, if she ran an ARCA this year, we might be talking about her.
Yeah, but she's in the truck series.
Still knocking on the door for one top 10. And you know what? I'm worried about Tanner Gray as well. One top 10. This is your second year in the series. And what happened to all those ARCA starts? Why are they going away?
He had just one ARCA start this season. That's his only start.
And Haley has none.
And
maybe they need to bring that back
and also
unless time runs out.
But it also gets bad when Tanner Grace had 4 crew chiefs in not even a full season. 4 different crew chiefs. It's
15 races, 4 crew chiefs.
That's who's managing this team?
I don't know, but I'm afraid something needs to be assessed. And we already know enough and talked enough about the controversies that his younger brother has been involved in. With that all out of the way, let's talk open wheel racing. It's been an hour on the podcast. This is usually when the podcast gets longer.
Okay, yeah. Open wheel racing, yeah.
that race that was interesting.
Oh, yeah, the race that happened in Nashville, Tennessee. First race in Nashville since 2008, and this was held in the actual city of Nashville.
Yeah.
Unbelievable race that was. The inaugural Music City Grand Prix at the streets of Nashville, Tennessee, in front of a packed crowd for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, in front of 50+ thousand fans. Well, this was round 11 of 16. You know, Marcus Ericsson, he wishes the whole season was on street courses at this point. Incredible numbers. Led 37 laps, started 18th in a 27-car race, largest field other than the Indy 500.
But
second career win and his fourth career podium. Chip Ganassi's got now 3 drivers that can compete for this championship.
Yeah.
We'll discuss what happened in the race a little later on. I'll just go through the results because, I don't have as much time tolerance as I did before. This has been a long podcast. Scott Dixon still knocking on the door to tie Mario Andretti's 52 win number for second on the all-time list. Falls short once again. Started second, finished second, his 125th career podium. And how about the Canadian, James Hinchcliffe? The veteran is back on the podium. Well, we needed this one. And it's been a miserable season for the Toronto native. He started 10th. This is his first top 10. First finish better than 16th or 14th in the season. Driving for Andretti of all teams. His 18th career podium. Oh, we needed this one.
Yeah.
I don't know if the team vibe is good right now, especially for what we'll talk about later in the race, but it was for a personal, redemption. Bravo, James Hinchcliffe. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Hinchcliffe's teammate, a former champion in the series, an Indy 500 champion. Ryan Hunter-Reay from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, could not put the puzzle pieces together in 2021. He started 14th, a 4th place finish, just shy of the podium. You know what? That's a feel-good story for both those drivers.
Yeah.
I hope they can hold on to that for quite some time and use it for momentum. Graham Rahal started 13th, finished 5th. A good points day for sure. Ed Jones had an eventful race. He started second to last in the field on a streak, 26th, and he finished 6th. That's incredible.
Gaining 20 spots. That is impressive.
7th place went to the championship leader, Alex Palau. He started 9th, and the Chip Ganassi driver survived this one.
Yep.
8th place, Felix Rosenqvist. A well-needed 8th place after a struggling early start to the season, and it just never really seemed to transpire. He had a great qualifying run. 4th place, brought home 8th. Elio Castroneves for Meyer Shank Racing started 15th, finished 9th. We learned that he will compete for the championship next year. Something that he still hasn't done yet is win an IndyCar championship. He's won 4 Indy 500s, but still knocking on the door for that first title. We now know that with that team he's driving for, he will have a shot to do it. And the hometown favorite, Joseph Newgarden, brought home to top 10. Now, winning the podium was more expected, but after what happened in the race, the top 10 would definitely be worthy of a pat on the back for anyone who finished there, 10th or higher. 16th place went to Romain Grosjean, who led 4 laps, started 6th, but had to finish 16th, and this was the gutter of the race, just the heartbreak moment of the race. Had to be Colton Herta, who scored his 6th career pole over the past of the weekend. He, at the fastest lap, led 39 laps, which was enough for him to get the most laps led points. But with a handful of laps to go while chasing down Marcus Ericsson for the lead, Colton Herta had a massive shunt against the guardrails, where part of the track where he almost retired in just a few laps prior.
Yeah.
He was scored in 19th place. So everyone's talking about a certain incident that happened in the race on the first restart, about 4 laps in, as they came to the start and finish line.
Yep.
As the safety car pulled in, everyone was lined up. A favorite for the race that I thought could really make things happen, Sebastian Bourdais, who is really good on the street courses because his 4 consecutive Champ Kart titles were comprised of mostly street course races. And that's where he gets the experience from, and he needed a good points day. It was been a race to forget for AJ Ford Enterprises. But Marcus Ericsson runs right up the back of
Hey!
Bourdais, a weird misjudgment, and all of a sudden the car goes airborne and quickly lands on all four. Never hit the guardrail. In fact, Ericsson's car, if had he hit Bourdais a little bit differently, he would have likely hit or at least skimmed the barrier.
But no, the only thing he damaged was his front wing, and he went to the pits, changed it, and went back on the track.
I thought it was game over for Ericsson.
Me too. I'm like, what?
That was the nastiest looking crash I've ever seen. Not damage a car that much, and poor Sebastian Bourdais. The guy is looking for his 5th championship. I know it's not going to happen this year, but these street courses, have treated him well. I don't know. Same cannot be said for this one.
But AJ Ford Enterprises is kind of in a hole. They've been struggling for a few years now. Like when Jack Hawksworth was at the team and Takuma Sato, they've been struggling for years. Like, I'm looking through Racing Reference because that's where you get, if people didn't see the race, the race was chaotic. There were 9 caution flags for 33 laps. Do you want to know how much percent of the race was under caution?
How many?
41.3%. Do you want to know what's the average lap? Like, average green flag run. Do you want to know how many laps it was?
How many?
4.7 laps. Not even 5 laps. We kept.
I reiterated the other day that by the end of the race, we started racing and we stopped crashing and started racing. The track wasn't bad. People say, "Oh, the track's not made. It's too skinny. It's Macau in America." Just no. If anything, this track really reminds me of a lot of Toronto. Has that Toronto feel where there are a lot of passing zones, but it's still, you have the limitations of the street circuit.
Yeah.
St. Petersburg, I'd say in terms of how fast you go through some parts of the track, like the bridge portions reminded me a lot about St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
I don't know about Long Beach. Long Beach, you really have like 1 or 2 good passing opportunities, and then you're stuck for the lap.
But Macau, it's not Macau.
Don't even bring Macau into this. And don't bring Monaco into this either.
But do you want to know what somebody wanted? Somebody wants F1 at Macau, which is not going to happen. I've seen how tight Macau is.
Chances are your favorite F1 driver has already raced the Macau Grand Prix, so no need to put it back there again.
Well, we're not going to race the Macau Grand Prix. Hey, Joseph, you should enter a car in the Macau Grand Prix.
No, thanks. I'd rather keep my money.
Well, Macau is, but it was an interesting race. There was yellow flag. There was a parking lot on lap 20, which brought out a red flag.
That was a long red flag. It felt endless. That red flag, we saw drivers, Rena's VK, Takuma Sato, Jimmy Johnson,
Will Power.
Connor Daly.
Yeah, Cody Ware also in that wreck, but it was contact with Will Power and Simon Pashno. I didn't notice VK until he was parked under a tree. Like, I saw the branches, I saw 21. I'm like, oh, there's VK. But Will Power got in 2 of his teammates. He got into Pagano on that wreck. Later on...
Perhaps it wasn't the most favorable thing that he did.
Yeah.
But.
And later on, he got into his teammate, Scott McLaughlin. It was an eventful day for Will Power, Scott McLaughlin. Dalton Kellett, remember Dalton Kellett's car stalled? Remember Dalton Kellett stalled for some reason off a corner? And then later on he got into Scott McLaughlin? That race was just chaotic.
Sure was. And to get out of this, we got, let's look at the championship, though. I mean, have a championship to look at. After 11 races, so we have
It's 11 hours.
6 to go.
Yeah.
We got some consecutive weekends of racing.
Yeah.
Actually, the next 3 weekends will be consecutive. Next
Wait.
4 races, actually.
What?
Yeah. August 20th, or actually,
August 14th, which is this weekend. And then August 20th.
whoops, yeah, I read off the wrong one. August 14th and August 21st, I meant.
No, because they go back in September. They go 3 weeks consecutive in September, the 12th, 19th, and 26th. Those 3. But yeah, they have the Indy GP and then Gateway, the last 2 races of the month.
500 kilometers.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the Portland. Actually, no, that's the end of the stretch. Then, and then there's a 3-week stretch right here. The Portland Grand Prix, the Laguna Seca Grand Prix,
and then
the
final
Long Beach Grand Prix will close the season.
Yep, at the end of September. So yeah, the championship's looking interesting.
Yes, Alex Palau is the championship leader. He has 410 points. Now, second in the championship, minus 42 points, is his teammate Scott Dixon, looking for a record-tying 7th. Doing something that only AJ Foyt has done. Speaking of records, Dixon has another shot at a record right there. Where we were talking about how he could tie Myron wins.
Well, but Alex Palau is showing his speed.
Right, and I don't want to say time is running out, but if time is running out, it's running out for the 3rd place driver paddle award.
Yeah, he didn't have a good race at the National Street Circuit, which really hurted him.
Yeah, 4th place, Joseph Newgarden.
Oof.
I'd say he survived this race, to say the least. And Marcus Ericsson, had that crash gone a little bit differently, he would have been out of it.
But a thing that's impressive.
And even if he won this race and just got a podium or finished in the top 15, it would have been good enough.
But a person that's impressing me is Palau. He's leading the points. Like Alex Palau. He won the first race of the season. Remember, he won the first race at Barber. He's running like it's his second full-time season. He moved from Dale Coyne's number 55 to run the number 10. He replaced Rosenquist, who went to Arrow McLaren SP. He's performing really well in his second season in IndyCar. I know the team is good. Like, I know Ganassi is one of the best IndyCar teams, but he's showing his talent this season. Marcus Ericsson is really showing his speed this season. Like,
experience is coming into play for Ericsson. That's for sure.
Yeah, and also Scott Dixon, he's doing good. Like, you got 3 of the Ganassi cars doing good, because the 4th one is not a part-time, but Jimmy Johnson running the street and road
Johnson and Tony Kanaan.
Yeah, which Kanaan is running his last start at Gateway, the last oval race. Johnson, he did not have a good race.
You know what? He had one to forget. A lot of people say their expectations are too high. Don't just let Johnson be. I mean, he's only doing this to step in a different set of water here.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the Indy Grand Prix and all that later, because we have to get through some of the other races. We already talked about ARCA. We haven't talked about the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race, and it was a great sight to see the hometown driver get the fans a treat. Ryan Preece winning at Stafford Speedway.
Yeah.
He led 116 laps. Justin Bonsignor, championship leader, finished second, 14 laps led over there. John McKennedy third. Doug Coby, another hometown favorite.
He led 20 laps, because Racing Reference said he led 131, but the race was 158. Racing Reference basically miscalculated, but he actually led 20 laps.
Yes.
Because
Ron Silk finished 5th. Honestly, looking at it, I'm not surprised at all by this. But if anything, let's take a look at the championship. So 9 races down in this 14-race championship. It's very close between the top 2. And then throw on back, it starts becoming far-fetched.
Yeah.
Justin Bonsignor has 376 points, 12 points behind him. Patrick Emmerling with 364 points. John McKennedy sits in 3rd with 320 points. Ronnie Silk is fourth with 303 points. And Eric Goodale is in fifth with 302 points. So when's the next race, you shall ask? That's at the Beach Ridge 200 on August 21st for round 10 to 14.
And people were wondering, where's Beach Ridge? That's in Scarborough, Maine. They're racing in Maine. It's in, of all tracks in Maine. It's
cool.
But also I was, Eric Goodale, I've noticed, he's not been too good since his win at Martinsville. Remember Eric Goodale won the season opener at Martinsville? He's not been too consistent other than that win at Martinsville. He's just up and down the field.
He's actually squeaked in fifth.
But Doug Coby is not – I know Doug Coby, he missed a race, but he's not doing too bad after missing a race.
It's just the bad races that surround him. Actually, have been the ones that hurting him more than the race he missed.
But good championship battle between Bonsinger and Emmerling. They are
two veterans that are very successful in this kind of racing up in the Northeast. It should be fun to watch.
Yep.
All right, let's go from four wheels to two.
Okay.
Talk about a Cinderella story.
Yep.
We got to see for the first time Jorge Martin win a Grand Prix motorcycling event on the highest level.
Yep.
But not only that, we got to see Pramac Racing finally, after 20 years, almost 20 years of trying and knocking on the door.
Wow.
Win the race. And you know what? Congratulations to them. They worked so hard, this Ducati-backed team. Been knocking on the door for years to get this first win, and they finally have it.
Yeah.
Looking at it, honestly, this team was created in 2002. I'm just looking at their stats just through the years of podium in 03. Just looking at a podium in 07, a podium in 08, near win in 08, actually, second and third. Just going through the years, just looking at stuff, pretty good consistency in the mid-2010s. A lot of podiums in the mid to late 2010s, especially in 2019 and in 2020. Look at all the second places that followed in 2020 and 2021. But not a win until 23-year-old young rider Jorge Martin changed all that 2 days ago. That is amazing. The Styrian Grand Prix is Jorge's in Pramac Racing, and just so proud of the team and the rider. So he led from the pole position. A brilliant job in the Ducati to win this one. Second place went to Joan Mir, who picked up the fastest lap. Third place, the championship leader, Yamaha's Fabio Quartararo. Fourth place, Brad Binder from KTM. In fifth place, Takaki Nakagami, who is just having an abysmal season, finally has a feel-good moment, finishing fifth. Now, the rest of the points, remember, top 15 that finished the race get points from 25 down to 1. Sixth place, Joan Zarco. Seventh place, Alex Rins. Eighth place, Mark Marquez. Ninth place, Alex Marquez. And Danny Pedrosa, who had a horrifying accident that sent Lorenzo Salvadori to a stretcher, which luckily he's okay now. Managed to get a point in 6 points in the top 10.
Yeah.
Francesco Bagnaia, 11th. Enia Bastianini, 12th. Valentino Rossi, who announced his retirement at the end of the season, 13th. Luca Marini, 14th. And Akira Luciona, 15th, picking up the final point. So this is the start of the second half of the World Championship. It's also the start of the end of the summer break. Their last race was held months ago at the Dutch TT Grand Prix. So Fabio Quartararo is the championship leader. He's got 172 points. 40 points behind is Joan Zarco in second with 132 points. Third place is Joan Mir with 121 points. and Mir is the highest Suzuki so far. Fourth place is Francesco Bagnaia. Fifth place, his teammate, Jack Miller, with 100 points. Now in the constructors' standings, Yamaha leads this by 8 points. 200 points for Yamaha. Ducati caught up big time with this one on Sunday. They have 192 points. KTM is far back down to third with just one win to spare, 127 points. Suzuki still knocking on the door for their first win, came home second on Sunday, 125 points. And Honda, with one sole win, sits in fifth with 97 points. Aprilia, having a struggling year, sixth with 62 points. Now the team standings. This is starting to become a little more one-sided than it was a few races ago. Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP leads that with 267 points. Then we have the two Ducati brands, second and third. Ducati Lenovo team, the factory-back team, in second with 214 points. Pramac Racing, that had their first win after almost 20 years of trying, 184 points. Team Suzuki X-Star, 163 points, and Red Bull KTM Factory Racing ran out the top five with 158 points. So there you have it. We'll be back at the same circuit, the Red Bull Ring, this weekend for the Austrian Grand Prix. The Styrian Grand Prix, I assume, was one of the made-up races. Yeah. And it was held in front of a passionate crowd of spectators for now that they've opened up more seats for fans at the Red Bull Ring. So now we get to talk about the races that are coming up this weekend, and I want to put this into a few different components here. Actually, before we go on to that, there was one sports car race that I want to talk about. I want to leave that to last because I want to put that in a whole nother discussion. So we're going to talk about our race previews, then we'll go into IMSA, and then Le Mans, all right?
Okay.
So let's discuss Indianapolis as a whole.
Okay.
Because we have 3 Grand Prix races there. The inaugural Indianapolis Grand Prix for the NASCAR Cup Series, a successor to the Brickyard 400 race that dated back to 1994. This is an inaugural race. Who will win the inaugural Grand Prix at the Brickyard for the NASCAR Cup Series?
I got my pick.
Sir.
Okay, this driver, he has 0 Cup wins to his name. He runs a full-time in Xfinity. He has a championship.
Oh, thank you very much.
My pick, driver of the number 33, Austin Cindric, finally gets career win number 1 in the Cup Series before his full-time season in the number 2. He's going to win at the Indy Road Course.
Some Ryan Newman stuff almost, because Newman almost did that a few times before his full Cup season in 2002.
Who's your pick, Joseph?
Well, I have this one. It's going to be a pretty interesting pick, but I'm going to go with Mark Truex Jr. I feel like he's going to surprise a lot of people. People are being quiet about Truex on these road courses lately, and I'm questioning their silence. He's a great driver, and let's not look away too far from Truex Jr. Otherwise, he's going to remind you about it, and he will on Sunday. Mark Truex Jr. will be the first winner of the Grand Prix race at the Brickyard.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about a race that already happened a year ago, and it's going to happen again for the Xfinity Series. The first ever race of the Indy GP circuit was last year, won by Chase Briscoe for Stewart-Haas Racing with Biaggi, Dembeste, and Ford. Who will be the second winner on that list for round 21 to 33? Sir.
Okay, I got my pick. Okay, my pick, this driver, He has one career win to his name, which was a different race sort of circumstances. If that didn't happen, if he's trying to look for an actual race victory that does not rain shorten. My pick, driver of the number 10, Jeb Byrne is going to win at the Indy Grand Prix.
Wow.
Yep, driver of the number 10. Well, let's put.
My pick for this one is your pick from the Cup Series, Austin Cindric.
Okay, I thought you were going to go.
It's going to make it look easy.
Okay, I thought you were going to go pick somebody else. If Joe Graff Jr. If Joe Graff Jr. was in the race, you would have picked him.
Not happening.
Well, Joe Graff Jr. should drive for Hendrick.
I need a buzzer sound effect. That's what I needed. It's the first one I feel like it.
But then we still got IndyCar.
Yes, and that's where we go because we just were talking about IndyCar, and I want to keep that going. So the Indianapolis Grand Prix will be round 12, 16. Now, there's a history to this race, unlike the NASCAR races. This year is Rinus VeeKay getting the win. The first race was won by Simon Pagenaud in 2014. Simon Pagenaud and Will Power have 3 wins each of this event. Most of all of the other drivers, the 2 drivers with 1 win include Scott Dixon and Rinus VeeKay, the defending winner in this race. Most team wins, it's Penske. They own the house. 5 times they've won. They had 1 time for Chip Ganassi Racing and Carpenter Racing and Aero SP Motorsports. Most make engine wins, 6 for Chevrolet, 2 for Honda. Should I make it any easier? What do you have?
Yeah. My pick, this driver, he drives a Chevy team. He knows his place around this track. My pick's the number 22. Simon Pagenaud is going to win at the Indy Grand Prix. Who's your pick, Joseph?
Well, my pick is going to be this driver who needs a good turnaround in the championship. He's still in the hunt, but he has to do something big. And like I said, Penske is very good at this place.
I know.
A place to do it. It's going to be Joseph Newgarden winning
Okay.
at the road course at Indy. It's going to be a tough race. No one said it's going to be easy, but he'll get the win.
Okay.
All right. Now, let's talk about sports cars. I wanted to hold this discussion off for a little while. But the last major sports car race before the 24 Hours of Le Mans took place 2 days ago at Road America for the road race at Road America for round number 8 of 12. And I'm going to pull up the results, .nibs.com, to catch me up on the race results. For this event, this is the second and final race to feature all 5 classes at once in a sprint race. And it was a cool one for sure. Road America is a favorite amongst any, to say the least. So winning this race overall was the number 31, winning engineering Cadillac DPI for Action Express Racing. Pipo Derani and Felipe Nasr. Philippe Derani and Felipe Nasr. I mean, these are 2 best friends from Brazil living the dream in a top-tier sports car team. Just keep on with the greatness, I'd say. They're doing a brilliant job. Now, their overall podium, second place was number 55, Multimatic Motorsports Mazda DPI with Ollie Jarvis and Harry Tinknell. So the 2 British drivers fell shy to the 2 Brazilian drivers. Let me just pull up the championship and the 24 Hours of Le Mans page. All right, third place went to the number 01, Chip Ganassi Racing Cadillac DPI, Kevin Magnussen and Ranger Vanderzan were behind the wheel of that car. Fourth place was number 10, Wayne Taylor Racing Acura ARX05 DPI, Philippe Albuquerque, Ricky Taylor, and fifth place was the number 60 Marushenko Racing with Kurb Agajani and Acura ARX05 Olivier Plot and Dane Cameron. So that's what it looked like for the overall class, the DPI class. Now let's look at the LMP2 class, the next class on that list. Class winner was 7th place overall, number 18. Number 18, Era Motorsport, Orca 07. By the way, all cars were Orca 07s for the class. Let's get that out of the way. Drivers were Dwight Merriman and Ryan Dalziel. They completed 75 of the 76 laps from the overall winners. Racing in second in class was the number 8, Tower Motorsport by Starworks, John Ferrano, Gabriel Albury. Third place, number 52, Para One Matheson Motorsports of Ben Keating and Mikkel Jensen. Fourth place, car number 11, Win Autosport. I had them for the win for this class, but all 4 cars shared the same lap, actually, except the podium. The class podium did. Fourth place was 1 lap behind. Stephen Thomas, Tristan Nunez fell shy of this one. Fifth place. Okay, there was no fifth in the class. LMP3. All LMP3 cars, by the way, ran Ligier JSP 320s. Let's get that out of the way. Finishing first in class. In fact, this car beat the class-winning GTLM for the first time in a while. It was the number 54 Core Autosport, finishing 11th overall with what's his name? John Bennett and Colin Brown.
I was about to say, where does Steven come out of?
I don't know. I was thinking of Win Autosport for LMP2. Second place went to 13th place overall car. Performance Tech Motorsports with Goldberg and Lint, Rasmus Lint.
And Dan Goldberg. Third place was 15th overall with the third and fourth place with the 2 Riley Motorsports Ligiers. Third place, 15th overall, number 74 of Guy Robinson, Felipe Fraga. And then the sister car, number 91, finished behind them, 16th overall, 4th in class, outside the class podium. Number 91, Jim Cox and Dylan Murray. And 5th place in class was the 18th place finisher overall, number 36, Andretti Autosport, Ligier, Jared Andretti and Oliver Askew. Now let's talk GTs. And if you're a Porsche fan, this was a race to celebrate, I'd say. A great outing for the Porsches. The only 3 LMGTEs showed up to make the GTLM class, as most of the programs are pretty much on their way to Le Mans, if not already there already. Yeah.
Those 3 teams will be there as well.
Yep.
And how about Proton Competition, WeatherTech Racing, number 79, Porsche 911 RSR, with Cooper McNeil and Matt Campbell taking a win, finally outperforming the Corvettes for the first time since the endurance race at Sebring, the 12-hour race.
Yeah.
Taking class honors. A good run for the drivers. Finishing that race in 12th overall. Finishing second in class, 14th overall, was the number 3 Corvette Racing Chevrolet Corvette C8R of Antonio Garcia, Jordan Taylor. And then third, the final car in class, was placed 17th overall, Tommy Milner, Nick Taney, number 4 Corvette Racing, Corvette C8R from Chevrolet. Now let's talk about the competitive GT3 division that runs under the GTD class. And if it's not already competitive enough, let's see how it's going to work with a second class next year. We'll see how that goes. How about one for the Canadians? 20th place overall, first in class, the Toronto-based team, Pfaff Motorsports, a loyal Porsche program that tests at their home in Mosport.
Yep.
With Zachary Robichon and factory driver Lawrence Vantor. A good pair, to say the least. And I'm glad that they're able to no longer deal with the border issues anymore.
Yeah.
As they can run more races now. And I think they're part of the WeatherTech Sprint Cup, if that's not.
Yeah, they are part of it.
Well, that's the best way to go, with a win. And the team that they're going to have to beat is going to be this team, number 96, Turner Motorsport BMW M6 GT3. By the way, they're already testing the new M4 GT3. Just to let you know, Bill Auberlen and Robbie Foley already had their hands on that car. So better look out even more. So who knows how that car is going to perform, though. We didn't get to see that car on track during the NLS race at Nürburgring as that car had an accident in practice. So we're still knocking on the door for their first ever start. Let's keep an eye on that as time goes on. But great outing for Robbie Foley and Bill Auberlen. Bill Auberlen, the winningest driver in IMSA history. He's like, 54 wins now? And he's racing in his 50s. Incredible. And then another Porsche on the podium for this class. The number 16 Wright Motorsports Porsche 911 GT3R of Patrick Long and Trent Hinman completed the class podium, finishing 22nd overall. 23rd overall was the Heart of Racing team, number 23, Aston Martin Vantage GT3 of Ross Gunn and Roman DeAngelis. And 5th place in class was the number 14, Vassar Sullivan Lexus RCF GT3 of Aaron Telitz and Jack Hawksworth. So, this leads me to my next discussion. We'll hold off on Formula E in just a moment because that requires a different discussion.
Red Sox are leading 4-1.
Yes, I have that game on my TV.
Wow, I'm shocked they're actually leading. I thought
the Blue Jays embarrassed us.
Well, the Blue Jays. Well, maybe the Blue Jays tried.
They certainly have a better team than us. But let's move on. Let's move on and talk about why I wanted to talk sports cars now and hold off on the IMSA discussion, because this will lead me right into Le Mans. This weekend will mark the weekend. Yes, this weekend cars will be on track for testing.
Yeah.
Next weekend will be the big race and the events following up to the event. We're going to have that, but first we need the testing. So teams, if not already, are boarding planes or shipping their cars to France and getting pretty much, like, the paddock is open. Now, the track's not open yet, but the paddock will be open for teams. Some teams have already arrived. Some are still traveling to get to Le Mans.
Yeah.
And we still have our entry list. I think it's pretty much confirmed.
Yeah.
We know now. I doubt we're going to see any last minute dropouts at this point.
Yeah.
Usually we know by then, but since we are still considered in a COVID-19 pandemic, we can't rule out the possibilities of it either. But I just want to let you know, in the order of reserves right now, the number 62 AF Corsa Ferrari 488 GT Evo for LGT AM already had their lineups. Tony Villander, Simon Mann, and Christoph Ulrich will be next in line.
Yeah. You got the 27 hub. You got the 27s on that list. That LMP2 entry.
The further you go down the list, you see the more unconfirmed the teams are because of their likelihood of
same as the Garage 59, the number 62.
You know what? Ferrari. I kind of want to see Garage 59 in. I mean, like, they have been impressive in GT3, but we don't. We have, a lot of good competitors, and I think by just looking at this entry list and seeing where the speeds could go. This weekend, I believe we're going to have practice. I think it's going to be testing.
Yeah, it's testing. Practice is the first practice session's on the 18th. Yeah.
So the 18th is going to be next Wednesday, and then usually they put the qualifying on Thursday. I don't know if it's Friday this year.
Let me go check on the.
Then again, it's not a June schedule.
Let me go check the WEC website.
Right.
Le Mans, okay. Yeah. I don't. Okay, I almost clicked. Oh, I just saw the Michelin Man. That's not what I want.
Yeah, the Michelin Man.
Oh, I got it here. FP1 is on the 18th. Qualifying. What the heck? Qualifying's also on the Wednesday. Practice 2's on the Wednesday also. Practice 3 is on Thursday. Practices all on Thursday. Final practice is on Saturday. Wait, what?
Don't you mean morning warm-ups?
warm-ups. Yeah, morning warm-ups, and then the race all the way on Saturday. So yeah, qualifying's
It's
a
going to
few
come back
hours.
quick.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, qualifying is a few hours after practice 1. It's going to be interesting.
I'm really looking at how the teams will perform and what to expect. There are 5 LMH cars, also LMP ones, but they're pretty much a successor of them. And I've noticed, we have 4 cars that are on 2 teams. 2 Toyota Gazoo racing entries and Toyota GR O&O hybrids, and the 2 Glickenhaus racing entries, the Glickenhaus 007 LMH.
So, yeah.
And then the sole Alpine Elf Matwood, Alpine A480 Gibson.
Yep.
And we have seen that the Alpine can keep up with the Toyotas.
Yep.
This will be no bigger test than for Glickenhaus, even for Alpine. But Glickenhaus, absolutely, these guys have to make it work. They have to make it count. And if anything, we're gonna learn a lot of lessons on how the hypercar will perform at Le Mans.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I'm so curious to see what to expect. We don't know how it's gonna happen. And also the LMP2s. How will they be involved in this? There's so many LMP2s, 25 entries. Just an incredible amount of talent on the sides, and just to see how diverse this class is, so much so that the ACO FIA said, "Hey, we're going to give you another incentive for the LMP2 drivers with a Pro-Am award. The highest of the Pro-Ams in the class will also have their own category win."
Yeah.
So there's already a competition within a competition because there are only 5 cars competing for the overall win in that hypercar class. If anything goes wrong to those 5, which it takes 24 hours, that's not a tall order. Then we can see a repeat of 2017, but with first place. And I'm sure everybody knows that, and they're gonna do what they can to stay in the fight, which makes this class even more competitive.
Well, you still got the LMGT Pros. You got a few cars in that category.
Oh yeah, this is probably the largest LMGT Pro LMGTE category involving factory-backed LMGTEs. Probably in the year history of 2021 right here. And we don't know what the future of LMGTEs will look like in terms of the factory side of things. But it's there, and we're going to see it.
Yeah, you got Corvettes are running.
Yes, the C8R will finally make its debut at Le Mans. Remember last year they had to pull out.
Yeah, you got WeatherTech Racing, the 79.
That's Proton competition.
Yeah, but named WeatherTech Racing, but still, they're from the IMSA Sports Car Series.
And they're coming off a win in a sprint race.
Yep, you got the regular entries. You got the Ferrari.
The factory Porsches. And of course the Ferraris. How about Habato Racing?
Yep, they're entering.
Dries Vanthoor, who is also an Audi factory driver, will be racing alongside his brother in a factory Porsche.
Yeah.
They're a customer team, but they're probably going to receive some support. Maxime Martin, they're going to have some big opportunities here. And then let's talk about the LMGT-AM class. This is a very, very diverse class. I'm looking at how many different names and stuff just being thrown in here. And what's so incredible about it is that, this is best of the best from the European Le Mans Series. It's also best of the best from the Asian Le Mans Series.
Yeah.
And, a lot of great driver talent, and especially from the GT3 programs. A lot of these teams are so good in GT3, and some of which are making their first ever race appearances in the higher levels. You
Yeah.
really prepare for this event. And I'm just looking at some teams. Let's throw in some names here. TF Sport Aston Martin, they opened up a second entry. They're very good. They have the factory support Aston Martin. Right now, Aston Martin Racing's factory team has remained in the GT class.
Yeah.
We'll see how they fare out.
Like, I'm looking through some entries up here. Spirit of Race Ferrari, they have an entry, number 55. They have Duncan Cameron, Dave Perrell, and Matthew Griffin. Herbert Motorsport, they have
a huge team.
Yeah, number 69.
24 Series championship team right there.
Yeah, they
Asian
have
Law Series championship team.
Yeah, like you have Inception Racing. They have a Ferrari. You got Proton Competition number 99 entry. You got Rinaldi Racing. And
how about the Ferrari entries that are found? Remember Iron Lynx coming off of a huge win in the Spot 24 Hours. Now they're not going to have the same drivers
No,
that
they
we
got
for them in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In fact, their factory drivers that they race with are actually going to run Alessandro Pierguidi, Kame Ladogar. They're going to be with AF Corsa on GT.
Yeah, but that 80 Iron Lynx car, you got Matteo Cressoni, Reno Mascinardi, and Callum Ilott in that number. Yeah, you got the all-female lineup, number 85, with Rahel Frey, Sarah Bovey, and Michelle Gathing.
What about some other names? How about Proton Competition, Dempsey Proton Racing, adding in more entries? I think this is going to be probably one of the most exciting Le Mans that I can remember. And we don't even know how they're going to fare out on speed. That's where I'm waiting for. We're waiting for how fast these guys are going to be. Who's going to be faster than what? Which drivers will be the better drivers in the deal? I mean, we're talking about some of the greatest drivers in the world all being put together to compete for this win. And I don't know how it's going to fare out.
Well, I just saw Robbie Foley's actually going to be in the race in the 66 JMW Motorsports entry. It says his full name Robert Foley, but that's Robbie Foley. Yeah, he's driving for JMW Motorsports Ferrari with Thomas Neubauer and Rodrigo Sales in the number 66.
Good. I said Johnny Fanning.
What? Oh, yours didn't update. Mine did update. Mine says Robbie Foley's in the 66.
Was that a new entry list?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then. I think Spirit of Race Ferrari 55 would be so good. Duncan Cameron's a fast driver.
Yeah, that's the entry list that I have. It says Foley 66.
It's like this is like a game. This is like a deck of cards here. We don't even know where.
No. Nicky Team, Paul Dalwana, the 98. Yeah, 98. The 95, you got Ross Gunn,
driver,
which he drives for the Spirit of the Heart of Racing team in the IMSA Sports Car Championship, and he's in
Ollie Hancock's another great driver. In fact,
there's so many drivers here that have speed.
You know,
Patrick Long in the 99 for Proton Competition with Gianluca Girodi and Philippe Laser.
Yeah, these guys are gonna be fast.
Yep.
I'm really curious to see how. I mean, LMP2. I think LMP2 is going to be some of the most competitive racing that we'll ever see in that category. It's going to be incredible to watch. I'll be astonished, honestly.
Wow,
it's special because it always comes down to who's showing up. In this race, we have a huge entry list. I think this entry list might outweigh definitely last year, and back in the normal times, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, definitely outweighs those years.
Don't know what I just noticed. I saw there's actually going to be one. You know, High Class Racing is a Danish team.
Yeah,
they're going to have an all Danish lineup in the 49 entry. They're going to have Anders Ford back, Jan Magnussen and Kevin Magnussen in the number 49. So Jan moves from the 20 to the 49 for Le Mans with his son Kevin and Anders Forgeback in the number 49.
That's gonna be a powerhouse, Sensei.
Yeah, like you got so many LMP2s, like there's so many good teams. You got United Autosports, G Drive.
They always packed. Those guys are always packed. United.
You got Joda Sport. Oh, they're gonna.
We know they're fast.
Team WRT, Panis Racing, Racing Team India Eurasia, Racing Competition. You got PR1 Matheson. They're running. Like, you got so many teams. United Autosports. Dragon.
This is the definition of an all-star showdown.
Yeah.
All right. We'll hold off on this Le Mans discussion for later, and we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to Formula E, because it all comes down to this. Just one more race weekend, and the championship. I kid you not. I had no idea that 18 drivers are mathematically eligible to win the Formula E World Championship for 2020 to 2021.
Remember last year, Antonio Felix Acosta clinched it after part 2. Remember those 3 parts at Berlin? He clinched after race 2, part 2. Remember that? He clinched it?
Yes, he did.
This time, there's no, it's closer.
How does Alexander Simmons have enough to catch?
I don't know. I don't actually know how. Like, it's like, wow.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to try to make our best bits. Let's look at the history of the Berlin E-Prix. So last year, as Justin mentioned, we had 6 different races there. So the winners for last year's races 2 times was Antonio Felix da Costa, Max Günther, Jean-Eric Verne, Oliver Rowland, and Stoffel Van Dorn.
Yep.
First race was held in 2015. Jerome D'Ambrosio was the winner. Most wins, well tied between Sebastian Buemi and Antonio Felix da Costa. Most team wins. Edam and Diaz Techeetah are sharing 3, and then Audi Sport App Schaffler 2 wins, just to put that up. So, of course, we don't have 6 races this time. We only just have 2. Rounds 14, 15 of 15, and that's it.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, CBS SN for people in the U.S. on CBS Sports, if people were wondering. But it's going to be interesting. Just 2 races left to determine the Formula E champion for this year. It's been a good championship battle. It's been close.
We're going to make our predictions for race 1, race 2, and a champion.
Okay. I got my pick for race 1. I got Jean-Eric Verne race 1. Race 2, Nick DeVries. And my championship pick is Nick DeVries. I feel like Nick DeVries will win the title. I feel the reason he's going to win the title, I feel like he's been decently consistent. I know he's had moments where he didn't do too well, but I feel like he's going to bring a good weekend here at Berlin and get the championship.
You know, the thing about championships, don't look too far back. He had that Formula 2 title.
Back in 2019, so 2 years ago. But Joseph, who's your picks?
Well, race 1, I think Antonio Felix da Costa is going to have a huge points day.
Okay.
Nick DeVries, however, will be in the podium, though, so it's not going to be too.
Okay.
Race 2, Nick Cassidy is going to finally prevail and get his first career win.
Okay.
And with that, I have Nick DeVries as your 2020-2021 ABB FIA Formula E World Champion for Mercedes.
Okay, so
Mercedes, who's going to have a star. And
it's
going to be something to watch. If you haven't watched Formula E, now's the time to do it. It's going to be chaotic.
Like Formula E, I've been watching for a while now.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like I remember Formula E in Canada. It used to only be tape delays back in 2016, but then I started watching when it was live. But it's always interesting. Like you got race 1 on. You got the first race on the E-Prix on Saturday, which is at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. So a bit early, and race 2 is at 9 a.m. Eastern. If you want to tune into the United States, it's on CBS Sports Network. In Canada, for both races are showed in Canada, just to let you know if Canadian fans watching, to tune into the races in Canada, it's on Discovery Velocity and TSN 5 for the finale, and CBS Sports Network in the United States. If you want to tune into Formula E. It's going to be a good championship finale. I like Formula E. It's going to be an interesting finale. Wow, we're already at 2 hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be dandy. By the way, before we go off here, I want to wish, I think it's important we wish that the famous New Zealand racing driver, Ken Smith, who is still racing to this day, a happy 80th birthday.
Wow. 80th. Wow.
He's a multi-time winner of the New Zealand Grand Prix.
Yep.
Perhaps the greatest race in the country.
Yep.
And Ken Smith has pretty much been in every one of them since 1958.
Yeah.
Strong. And his last win of the New Zealand Grand Prix was in 2004.
Wow.
This year it was Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, if people don't know, the New Zealand Grand Prix is part of the Toyota Racing Series in New Zealand, which is an open wheel championship run during our winter time before a Formula season.
Summertime.
Like Yuki Tsunoda ran there last year before his F2 season. Like some drivers do that. But yep. It's going to be exciting races this weekend. NASCAR and IndyCar doubleheader at Indy. You got some good for open wheel racing. Open wheel racing at you got Formula E running. You got MotoGP again. It's gonna be an interesting weekend of motorsports.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I'm very excited to watch all the action. This is when motorsports reaches its height of excitement.
Yep.
You can't wait to see what it holds. The rest of the month will be awesome, and especially the months down the road when it comes to the NASCAR and the championship and everything in between. The Bathurst 1000 is coming November. It's actually just under 2 months till then.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess it's time to sign off.
Yep.
Thank you guys very much for watching episode 123 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. Apologize again for the delay, but we will be back next week on Monday on our scheduled time for episode 124. For my partner, Justin Hepper, I am Joseph Laney Powell, and we are signing off. Have a good night.